Well, hey, so what did you do with your extra hour of sleep last night? Unless you live in Hawaii or Arizona in the United States, in which case you didn't set your clock back an hour and gain an extra hour to your day. And in Germany or all of Europe, maybe I think they did that last week or last month or something. Anyway, so you see what I'm doing with my extra hour. Don't you know, I woke up around 3 something. Well, it was, or was it 4 something? Well, it would have been 4 something, but when you set the clocks back an hour, it was 3 something. Okay, so anyway, so I got up. I had some yogurt with some Cheerio things in it. Went ahead and fixed a cup of coffee. Took a bath. Listened to some dry bar comedy. Went through some clothes, figured out some things I need to return to Amazon, and of course can't do that till tomorrow, but anyway, second cup of coffee now. So hey, who is up, if anybody? I see there's a couple of people watching, but I don't see any names. Let's, I'm gonna have decaf, because I already had a cup of caffeinated coffee, so let's see, I think I will have Melozio. And I will tell you, I've been talking about what I've learned about coffee. So here's the Melozio decaf. It is an intensity of 6, and it says why we love it. You've already fallen for Melozio Decaffeinado, a harmonious blend of Latin American Arabicas, just like Melozio, but decaffeinated, and carrying the same aroma of delight. This decaf virtuoso still sings with smooth cereal notes and a honeyed sweetness. Okay, so this is has Arabica coffee in it, all right? And what I learned yesterday, oh, hey, honey, my sonny boy is watching. What I learned the other day is that Arabica coffee is the coffee that has a sweeter taste and a creamier consistency. Now, something new that I learned yesterday in studying up about coffees, I'm going real slow about this. I don't want to overwhelm myself with too much information. So, okay, I learned that the higher up, altitude-wise, coffee is grown, the slower it grows, so the more chance it has to develop complex flavors and more sweetness and richness and more lipids, which are type of sort of fat. But again, like I told you the other day, it's not the kind of fat where you're going to gain weight from one coffee and not from another. No calories in coffee. It's a type of a fat that gives a sort of creaminess or a little bit of a richer feeling on the tongue. And okay, so there's Arabicas and Robustas. Now there's something like 120 or 140 different kinds of coffees, types of coffee plants. But the two main kinds are the Arabicas and the Robustas. The Robustas are used more so in instant coffee and in espressos, and they have almost twice as much caffeine as Arabicas do. And interestingly, it's because of all that caffeine that the Robustas are so robust in as far as coffee plants go, because that caffeine is almost like a poison to insects. So they don't get as many insect pests as Arabica coffees do. So Arabica is a more fragile than Robusta if you're a coffee grower, but it tends to have a sweeter, creamier taste or sensation in the mouth than Robusta does. However, I was very interested to discover yesterday I fixed some, let's see, where is it here? Okay, it was Il Cafe Is this the box here? Yes, Il Cafe. And really, really like this. This is an espresso. The coffee I just fixed, the Malozio, is a standard coffee, 7.77 ounces. The espresso is 1.35 ounces. But this Il Cafe is made of mostly Robustas and a little bit of Arabica. And boy, it was delicious. Anyway, so it's interesting to look. But remember, you know, do you remember the old, oh golly, was it Folgers? My gosh, I don't even remember the brand, but Juan Valdez leading his donkey, his burro, you know, and he's in the mountains and growing coffee or whatever. At least that's how I remember it. And what was so special about being in the mountains is, like I said, the higher up you are, the more complex the flavors are, because the coffee grows more slowly because it's cooler as you go higher in elevation. Hey, did you know any of this stuff? You know, maybe you knew it. I've heard this kind of stuff before years ago, but I don't know. I couldn't have told it to you. You know, it's like in one ear, out the other. Oh, that's interesting. But now I'm trying to understand when I read, you know, like Latin American Arabicas or Indonesian whatevers or Vietnamese somethings or Brazilian whatever. I'm trying to understand more about the different coffees. And another thing that I'm just starting to get into is, depending on what region of the world, not just what altitude, but what region of the world the coffee is grown in, that can affect the flavor as well. And I will give you an example of how this works. Just tasting this to see. I've got some oat milk in here. I think I'm going to want it sweetened. But wait, I'll finish what I was telling you. Okay, so on my honeymoon, many years ago, one of the places we went was Vienna, Austria. And we went to a McDonald's just for fun, where, by the way, at that time, they served beer as one of the beverages. Well, we got, you know, usual McDonald's meal, which included French fries. Those French fries were amazing tasting. Oh my gosh. They didn't just taste like, sort of as you might say, a salty matter in the mouth. They really had a great potato flavor. Well, the reason is because they were sourced from potatoes grown, you know, somewhere in Europe, I would imagine. And, you know, it's kind of like, oh, if you buy produce at a farm stand, you know, a roadside stand where the farmer that actually grew it right there in the field is selling it, it usually has more of a flavor and more character to it than if you buy the stuff in the supermarket, you know, that has been grown in mass production farming, where all the tomatoes are grown a certain shape so they'll fit into the packaging and stuff like that, and you know, sacrificing flavor for uniformity for packaging. Well, anyway, so the whole idea is the natural soil and environment in which you grow something is going to affect how it tastes, right? Like a lot of people have little gardens where they grow stuff themselves, you know, a few vegetables or whatever, because those taste so much better than buying it at the supermarket. Well, anyway, it's the same thing with coffee. Where it is grown, the actual soil itself, and the climate, even the microclimate around it, can make such a difference, does make such a difference in how it tastes. So you could take, you know, this coffee plant and this identical coffee plant and plant them in two different places in the world and come up with different tasting kind of coffee. Now, of course, I haven't gotten into reading about this yet, but the way you roast the beans, and there's all kinds of other details too, you know, combinations and permutations and all this. But anyway, it's really kind of interesting studying it. And like I said, I'm taking it slow and I'm sharing with you what I get to learn. But the most important part is the drinking of it, right? I mean, in a certain respect, who cares where it was grown or whether Juan Valdez carried it on his burro to the market or whatever. You know, it does help. Like, maybe I'll figure out, okay, I like Arabicas that have been grown in, I don't know where. Well, it's like, I like, or in the when was it, the early 1980s, I liked French fries that came from the Vienna, Austria McDonald's. Much better than I liked the ones that came from Augusta, Georgia, USA, where I had been living at the time. You know, it does help to know, I guess, what types of coffees you like in general, so that if somebody maybe gives you a choice, oh, we have this, you know, blah, blah kind, and this other kind that was grown here, was grown there, then, you know, you might be able to make an intelligent guess as to what you might like. Okay, so what am I going to put in? No, not raspberry syrup, not toasted marshmallow. I think I'm going to put in some, give a nod to the season, pumpkin praline pie, skinny syrup by Jordan's. I want it really sweet this morning. So, okay, what I'm hoping is, since I've been up such a long time, that I'm going to get sleepy here. Anyway, okay, so I had my, just an ending note here, had my COVID booster a couple days ago. And, oh, my arm was so sore, and I was kind of achy, and that was the day I had the shot. Then yesterday, my arm was still sore, but not as much, and I was still a little achy. Feeling pretty good this morning. Of course, it might be that jolt of caffeine from earlier. Anyway, I hope that you have a wonderful day today, and I just thought of one more thing. I just got to tell you this, okay? I was thinking about when I was a teenager, what I used to hope for on the, you know, when we turned the clocks back and gained an hour. I thought of two things. One of them, oh no, it was just one thing, okay. It was that I would be out on a date with a cute guy, and we would have an extra hour to stay out. Of course, considering that you don't turn the clocks back until 2 a.m., it's like, how late was I thinking I'd be out? But, you know, it's sort of the principle of the thing. The other thing I had been thinking of was I grew up in New York City, and, you know, every once in a while there'd be a blackout, and I would always, you know, my fondest wish would be that there'd be a blackout when I was stuck in an elevator with a cute guy, and we'd be... Anyhow, crazy things. Have a great day, and smile. It's healthy for you.